Can the United States force measurable concessions on Iran's nuclear program and its proxies without handing strategic victories to China and Russia? I'm Alicia Powe reporting from Washington for TvAbraham. Welcome to Inside the Capitol. This week I pressed members of Congress on the core questions. What is the clear, measurable end state before we lift the blockade? How do we end this fight without empowering our adversaries? And how concerned are they that the ceasefire could collapse? Their answers are sharp and sharply divided. What is the clear, measurable end state before we lift the blockade?
I don't know what the president has in mind with respect to lifting to the blockade. In fact, we'd like, as members of Congress, to find out more about why he put the blockade in place, why he started the war to begin with, what the ultimate goals are for the administration and where they're trying to go with this war. I've got clear lines for myself with respect to no boots on the ground, and I continue to support the War Powers Act, but the administration's been totally opaque about what it's doing and why it's doing it, and more importantly, how they're going to get out of this mess that he's created. With respect to Lebanon, Iran, Israel, and all of the conflict that's going on in that fight right now, I think we have to have some kind of negotiated agreement that's worked out among all of the parties and the nations that are involved. I think he's really been undermining the ability to do that from start to finish. Launching this war in the middle of, I think they had negotiations that had taken place on a Friday. They're supposed to meet again on the following Monday. That's when he and Israel chose to attack Iran. That doesn't create a lot of good faith with respect to how to negotiate an agreement. Then the threat about, I forget how he phrased it, but ending civilization in Iran is also not a good step towards trying to figure out a reasonable resolution to all of this. And the blockade, I think, created problems as well. The arguments about whether there was actually, Israel and Lebanon were connected to the Iranian ceasefire is another one. The foreign policy performance of this administration has been a complete disaster, and I think it's going to make it harder for us to resolve it. He started it, he's making it very difficult to resolve, and I don't know that he'll ever even be able to get us back to the point where we were with the Obama administration agreement with Iran. That seemed to be working fair. Now we don't even have control over the Strait of Hormuz anymore. The umbrella over the Israeli-Lebanon negotiations is really going to be driven by Iran and the Trump administration, and Trump does not seem to be able to get us back to the table and moving back in the direction. At this point, I would just take status quo. If we could get us back to where we were under the Obama agreement, free traffic with respect to the Strait of Hormuz, that'd be a big step in the right direction for me.
Clear military objectives in Iran. They're the right objectives. Make sure that Iran can't develop and deliver a nuclear weapon, curtail their ballistic missile program and their ability to send these one-way drones, make sure that they cannot hold up traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Those are clear-cut. They're important for us, they're important for the world, and I believe that we will achieve those goals. Our military has been incredible, and now this naval blockade, I think, is very effective. So I believe that those goals will be achieved, and they're the right goals. The only thing that Iran and the terrorists and these autocratic governments understand is strength. Peace through strength. And you can only enforce our diplomacy, if you will, if you first show strength. That's what we are doing. That's how you create the leverage to get a good outcome. Peace through strength.
Should we keep maximum pressure on Iran while the ceasefire holds?
There should be appropriate pressure. So these are tough negotiations. I do not support what the administration did. I think it was unnecessarily provocative, but I'm not naive about the situation in the world. So keeping pressure to sustain peace is really important. Unfortunately, the president's behavior has been so erratic. I think it's created a lot more concern for myself. Well, first of all, it's historically a very complex issue. This has been going on for thousands of years in this region, so we have to be very sensitive about how dense the geography is and the history. And I think unfortunately, we as Americans, and this administration in particular, sometimes rushes to judgment in a world that's much more complex than we comprehend, and it's different. So we have to be very thoughtful and careful, and this administration, that's not their MO, is being thoughtful and careful. Yes, you have to be forceful, but you have to be thoughtful about how you use your force in a region like this, where the history and the density of the geography, the intensity is unlike most things in the West. It's awful. So I think this was one of the worst mistakes of many mistakes by President Trump. He doesn't understand the complexities. I don't either, but I know enough to say, and have been to the region long enough, and been to Golan Heights and talked to a brigadier Israeli general who had been in every war, and I remember 10 years ago asking him, how is this ever going to stop? And here's somebody who'd been in every conflict up until that time, and he said, at some point we're all going to have to learn to get along and respect one another. That may seem very naive, but that's what we have to get to, and I don't feel like this administration acknowledges that. And certainly the Israeli administration and President Netanyahu, both of our administrations are so arrogant that it continues to make the situation worse. And then 254 kids have died, is what I heard today. 15 American servicemen. You can't not stop and pause and think, we as Americans caused that. And
How concerned are you that the Iran ceasefire could collapse, and what role should new U.S. funding play in preventing that from happening?
Well, first off, thank God for President Trump. He's going to do everything he can to keep Americans safe. We're there because Iran wants to kill Americans. They have been killing Americans. It's despicable what they're doing to their own citizens, hanging, wanting to hang these women just because they want freedom and opportunity. So President Trump's doing the right thing. I'm hopeful that the ceasefire will last, and we'll get all the uranium out, and they will not have the ability to build nuclear weapons. I mean, what he's doing is good for the world. He's making the world a safer place. We know that Cuba, as an example, is the reason we have problems in the Latin America. They're the reason we have instability. Thank God what he did with Maduro, taking Maduro out. Now, we still have a lot of work to do. Delcy Rodriguez is not a duly elected president. She's the leader of a cartel. So we still have a lot of work there, but I'm very hopeful that both Cuba and Venezuela will see freedom and opportunity for everybody there.
The war has been an unmitigated disaster. I can't believe that we have a president who, didn't understand the consequences of what he was undertaking. We have a new war breaking out between Israel and Lebanon that's already killed 1,000 and displaced 1 million. The Strait of Hormuz is closed and will remain closed. Gas prices are spiking here at home. Missiles continue to hit American embassies, bases, and our allies' bases. It's just an absolute incoherent disaster, and the president should end the war right now. That's the best way to protect Americans' national security.
How do we end the Iran conflict without handing Russia and China a strategic win?
Oh, this is a terrible thing for Russia and China. The worst thing for Russia and China is, and Iran is not a regime that is supplying them with drones to attack Ukraine, that is selling oil to Russia at a massive discount. Remember, it's been a bad year for Chinese oil purchases. They were buying Venezuelan oil for pennies on a dollar. Now they're having to pay full price. And when they get to the point where they're having to pay full price for Iranian oil, it's going to be very bad for them.
I'm Alicia Powe, reporting from Washington for TvAbraham. Thank you for joining us inside the Capitol.